Good morning to you. This is Pastor Fero, and I'm sitting here behind the church on the benches, these really comfortable benches here in our little mini park here on our lawn next to the memorial garden and the playground, and here at the little free library that's been set up by the local Girl Scout troop. And this indeed has become a place people I have noticed are starting to use this to come in and read books to their kids and just to rest and to contribute to this beautiful library, very contemporary looking library here on the lawn. And for that we give thanks. We were approached by the Girl Scout troop that just needed a space somewhere, and we've got the space. That's something that we could give, was the space. And there's the community around here who needs something like this, a place to rest, a place to sit in the shade here and spend some quality time with their kids. This coming up weekend, we have worship at 5 p.m. on Saturday and 10 a.m. on Sunday, a perfect time to come and rest, to sit in our the pews that God has provided for us, these benches, if you will, that become a sanctuary for us. And the topic this weekend in the lectionary is about the loaves and fishes. It's a very familiar story. It's in all three Gospels, all three synoptic Gospels. It's the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000 with just 5 loaves and 2 fishes that were provided. And it's funny because the disciples, when Jesus says, wow, look at all these hungry people, all these 5,000 people or more that are gathered here that are hungry, the disciples at first were like, oh yeah, go, tell them to go. This is a deserted place and we don't have a whole lot here, so all we have is just this little bit that somebody brought with them. And they said, tell them to go and buy their food in town or whatever. Tell them to hit the road and get their Subway or their McDonald's or whatever it was in town. And Jesus said, well, what do we have? And they said, well, this is all we have is these 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And Jesus said, that's all you have. We only have but, was what the disciples said. And the very first thing Jesus did was he took those loaves and those fishes and he held them to heaven and he gave thanks. He gave thanks for the very basics that were given in life. And Jesus had something to work with. And so I believe he taught the disciples and he teaches us today that we have what's been given to us, and with God all things are possible, and God can make anything possible, and God can feed the 5,000. I think of Jesus coming to earth. I think of, we talked about the kingdom last week, the kingdom that is in the future, the glorious kingdom, the feast that waits for us. And I think of the kingdom that is here on this earth, the kingdom of God that we see in everyday life, the kingdom of God that shows us that we can take a simple piece of land and we can offer that piece of land and dedicate that to God and thank God for it, and look at how God provides and God multiplies that, and God blesses that, and God works in ways. The seed that is planted here in this little free library area, the seed that sprouts into something that we probably will never see in some ways, the generations to come that experience God's love here, the hospitality here, and that learn from the wisdom that God has given us in this world. I think of other ways that we can give with the simple gifts that we have. I think of every single time that we celebrate the Eucharist. Eucharist is the great Thanksgiving. It's actually the place to start, the place to thank God Um, we start with a simple loaf. Or wafers. We start with a simple um, bit of wine from the vine. And God's presence, God uses us. We are the vessel. God uses those simple elements, and God's kingdom comes to us in that time. And so my prayer for you this week is that first of all, you are able to join us this weekend. My prayer is that we are able to come together um, in the sanctuary, come together and pray about those things that God has given us. Pray about that simple bread, that simple wine. Pray about this facility here at the corner of Fountain and Pleasure Road. This facility that God has given us, this land that God has given us. And pray about how it is that God can do miraculous things through these simple gifts and our willingness to be vessels for God. God bless you in your journey. Can't wait to see you.